Hi everyone, welcome to the Unit 4 Melodic Dictation lesson. For this week, we're not introducing much new stuff. We're actually just going to add some more leaps in the right hand of things, or in one voice. And to practice that, you really want to go do the sight singing practice. So remember, last week we introduced the major melodies, and this week we have the minor melodies. So you want to go to the second page of the sight singing worksheet from last week and keep practicing those melodies. That will really help get your ear in shape for hearing these. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a more active bass line. It's not going to get crazy until next week, but for this week we're just going to have really like quarters and eighths in the left hand, more quarters than eighths. So, and we're also going to do some compound meter. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into Aurelia and we'll do some practice. So here we have a 3-measure dictation. I'll give you a hint. The last measure is just 2 half notes, okay, and then half note rest. So it's really only a 2-measure dictation. So go ahead and get your rhythm line set up to take down the rhythm. Let's do 3 listenings for the rhythm. So you should be able to get the left hand in 1 listening. It's very simple. And then take 2 listenings for the right hand rhythm. Okay, so you should be marking out on your page, counting out loud. I'll count with you with the video, and marking the rhythm as it happens. Okay, nice and slow. It's quarter note to 40. Let's give it a try. 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a. I told you it was easy. Okay, so the left hand is just quarter notes. I'm just going to go ahead and write that in, and then we end on a half. Right hand rhythm. So take 2 listenings for this. Let's slow it down even a little bit slower, just a little bit, to 35. Okay, so count out loud while you're marking. Okay, so you should at least have this written up above there. You might find it helpful to have a line for every 16th note. And then you probably also still want to be writing the 1, 2, 3, and 4 above your staff. So something like that. Okay, so 2 listenings for the rhythm. 2 and 3E and 4E and 1 more listen. Let's even do this. Let's increase the right hand voice a little bit. Okay, so you should have something like this. All right, so take a minute and fill that in. Just look and see what kind of note values go with the marks. So you're adding a mark. So the first one, I'm going to put 2 eighth notes, for example, because I have a mark on the 1 and the and. So pause the video and do that, and then come back. Okay, good. So answer in 3, 2, 1. Here you are. So let's just look. 1 and 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1 and 2E and a 3E and a 4 and 1. You'll notice that they're almost exactly rhythmically alike, the first measure and the second measure. The only difference is this last 8th note is 2/16 over here. Okay, so next listening, get the first half. I bet you can get the first half of the first measure and then figure out how you get back to do at the end. Or not necessarily do, because now we have 2 voices, so we could end on do, mi, or sol. So you might also want to listen for not only how do you get to this note, but is this an octave, meaning that it would be do, or is it some other interval? If it's a third, it's going to be a consonant. So does it sound consonant or does it sound hollow? So octave is hollow, extra hollow. A third is pretty inconsonant. And also maybe a little bit incomplete because it feels like an incomplete cadence. And then a fifth is rare and very hollow sounding. Okay. So get the first up to here, that you can get that, and then figure out what's going on at the end. What's that interval? It's a third. So we are ending on mi. It's consonant. And then how did we get there? We went fa, re, mi. Similar to mi, or sorry, so it sounds very similar to re, ti, do. It's the same kind of looping around. All right, and then what was going on at the beginning? We went dee, da, dee, da, 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 dee, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, do. So now see if you can get the second half of that measure, maybe even a couple of notes of the next measure. Okay, so we've got some leaps going on in there. So we're going to have to do some working backwards. So I also realized that we forgot to get the bass line. So we'll get the bass line after we talk about what's going on there. So we start with da, da, oh, sorry. Mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, just down by step. Sol, fa, sol. Then what happens? It kind of, does it leap up or does it skip up? So that's kind of a question mark. It doesn't move by step. Do, 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 do. So it moves up, but then where does it come back down to? So do, 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 comes back to the same place, which means it's only a skip because it has to travel 3 notes. Oops. Do, 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 do. And then what happens? Let me actually get rid of this by doing, there we go. So I'm going to get, it just goes down by step. Do, 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 do. Let's listen again. Let's actually pause here and get the bass line, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so I'm going to turn the bass up and the right hand down, And we'll listen a couple times for the bass. We know we end on do. The left hand will always end on do. So one thing you might be really sure of is that this is do, and then this is sol. And it also, you hear some repeating patterns in here. So listen for imitation from the first measure to the second measure. One more time. Okay, so we go up by skip to mi, down by step to re, down by skip to ti. So these again are sort of nestling around do, and we end on do, and then it does the same thing. It goes up to mi, but then we get a little bit of a change because here we're in the predominant section. So it's fa, sol, do. Okay, so this will help us sort of suss out the rest of the right hand. So far, if we go back to the right hand, mi, re, mi, fa, sol, ti, la, sol, fa. Do you remember it? Let's go ahead and look at it. So sol, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti. Does it go to do? No, it leaps up. It leaps up into the stratosphere. So hopefully you're able to figure all this out because it's just one long descending pattern. Leaps up. Don't try to figure out where it leaps up to. Figure out how we get to fa, re, mi. So we know we have fa here, and then how do we get there? So one more listening. Oh, by the way, so look at your bass. So you have fa in the bass, so it has to be something that makes sense with that. So it's probably re, fa, or la. Okay, because it has to be consonant with this. Got it? It's just moving down by step. So here, see, that's a nice little trick because this giant leap of a seventh would be really hard to hear. But what's easy to hear is this just moving down by step to fa, re, mi. Okay? Good. Okay, now if you need to take a break, and then come back for part 2 where we're going to do one more dictation, but this time it's going to be in 6/8, and it's going to have a little bit more motion in the bass. Okay? I'll see you in a minute. All right, welcome back. So now we are in F sharp minor. We have 4 measures and we're in 6/8, but our smallest note value is going to be the 8th note. So let me walk you through setting that up. Okay, so this is what you should have set up. You can obviously have it on manuscript paper. I would actually recommend that, but it's a little easier for you to read on here. Okay, so let's do one listening for the left hand rhythm, and then we'll do one listening for the right hand rhythm. I'm going to turn the left hand up. Totally recommend doing that too, but be careful when you turn it up to not hit the submit button. Hit the replay button. Okay, left hand rhythm. broke my own rule and I wasn't counting out loud, but you get the point. So if you didn't get that, no worries. Let's move on to the right hand rhythm. I'm going to go a little bit quickly just for sake of time. But again, if you want to practice this again, jump in and do it again for yourself. Okay. Right hand. Count out loud with me. Li, 2, la, li. 1, la, li, 2, la, li, 1, la, li, 2, la, li, 1, la, li, 1, la, li, 2, la, li. Great. So almost all eighth notes. So you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so pause the video, translate that into note values, and then come back. Okay, welcome back. Here's the answer. Take a look at it, check it against what you have. Let's go ahead and jump in and do the left hand. So remember, the left hand is mostly going to be outlining chords. So think about your key pitches. Do is F sharp, sol is C sharp, and T is E sharp. Remember, so if you have a T, remember to raise that up. So let's do 2 listings for the left hand. Let's talk about, before going on, let's talk about harmonic function. So we probably have some kind of tonic expansion at the beginning, which means you have tonic expansion. Usually you're going to have tonic expansion for 2 measures-ish. It's usually like a 2 to 1 to 1 ratio. So then you probably have some kind of at least a dominant note here. It's safe to say you would either have sol, ti, do, or ti, re, do, or something in the bass here. So listen for, if you hear a big leap here, it's going to be sol, sol, do, or at least sol, do. And then here, count on this being some kind of combination of re, fa, and la. Maybe do, but probably re, fa, and la for your predominance, okay? Take that into consideration when you're trying to, so you're not just reaching out in the middle of nowhere for the pitches. So at the end, we did have sol, sol, do. And then did this go by step? I think it did. But then there was also some stuff going on in here that may have been a little hard to grab onto. So let's take one more listening. Let's talk through the beginning. So this, it dropped down to what felt like sol. And then it went T, do. So we need an E sharp, do. And then here, we had a do, 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 so. Is that a step or a skip? It's a skip. So it's do, me, do, and then it goes down to kind of a weird feeling note. If it skips or leaps down to something that feels weird, it's probably a skip and it's probably to lay. Or la. It's like an odd note that sort of feels out of place. And we also know that it then goes down to fa because it goes up to sol. So here it goes down to lay, do, lay, fa, sol. So do, lay, fa, sol. Oops. Lay, do, lay, fa, sol, sol, do. let's move on to the right hand. Let's adjust our voices. And we do start on May. So that's our proper starting pitch. It's a lot of eighth notes, so you might want to just take this first listening and map out the contour. Try and listen for if you hit do at any spot, maybe where the high point is, and try and grab the last few notes. So maybe grab the first few notes and then the last few notes and see if you can hear anything else in between. So we're going to start on May. Do we end on an octave or do we end on consonants? I think we end on an octave, and it's a high octave. So we end way the heck up here. And how do we get there? Your high point is here. D, re. I'm not going to try and sing that high. It will hurt your ears. Re, do, ti, do. And then at the beginning, just the first few notes. Re, fa, sol. Just give you those. And that makes sense, right? Because we're outlining sort of a 1, 5, 1, probably more 1. And then we go to probably a 6 here because of the lay in the bass. All right, so let's keep listening. See if you can get some more of the details in here, maybe the next several notes and then a couple more notes at the end. So here we have da, da, dee, dee, something down here, bump. So let's look at this. So we have a 1 chord, and then this is supposed to be a 5 chord because you have sol and ti in the bass. So what would make sense? Would it make sense to have mi? Is that part of the 5 chord? Or sorry, May? No, it's not. So it would make more sense if it was going down to re. Sol, ti, re is the 5 chord. That would make the most sense. And then here I heard it outlining a triad. So what would make sense is if it's outlining a 1 chord. See, 1, 5, 1. And then we have a 1 chord here. So let's listen for that a little bit and then hear if we can hear what's happening here. It does go up a bit higher. So listen to see, is this an octave? Is it a consonant? It's not a 5th because this is our highest note. So it has to be here or here. And see if you can figure out what's going on there. Okay? One more listening and then we'll talk through the answer. So here, da 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 dee, we were lucky guesses here. So it keeps outlining the 1 chord. So this whole measure is just the 1 chord. And then it does have some contrary motion up to this octave. And it goes lay, te. It actually goes to a rare te. Lay, lay, do. So here, it's kind of funny. It's using the natural minor scale because we're over the 1 chord and then the 4 chord. So it wouldn't make sense to throw in that T. And then here we have a 5 and a 1. Okay, that is it. Oh, I'll play it one more time so you can watch it with the notes there. Let's go ahead and submit it, and then we'll play it here. Okay, that's it. I hope that that helped a little bit. It's time to practice, and you may find that you're needing a little bit more practice time for the next few weeks. So make sure that you budget that in your schedule. And that's it. I'll see you guys in the next unit. Really, you have just about everything that you need to know. So unit 5 is going to be a little bit more expanding, but there's not going to be much more to learn. So you're ready for the midterm. You're not ready for the midterm, but you have all of the knowledge that you need to be ready for the midterm. We will do a little bit more harmonic dictation work in the next video, and then in the next unit, and the bass will get more active. And that's it. Okay, I'll see you guys in unit 5. Bye.